For more than 10 years, my name and physique have been closely identified with Arthur Jones's Nautilus machines and Nautilus training system. At various times, Nautilus has either implied or claimed outright that my physique is solely a product of Nautilus training. Using my physique as an example, Mr. Jones and his writers have steadily claimed that the Nautilus equipment and training system will build superstar physiques in record time. I want to tell you the truth about my long association with Nautilus, the truth about how much training I have actually done on the machines, and the truth about how you should approach using the machines to improve your own physique. I was directly involved with every piece of Nautilus equipment produced between 1971 and 79, and I'm intimately acquainted with every facet of the Nautilus concept. I am also a discerning champion bodybuilder familiar with the problems of all aspirants in the sport. So I am uniquely qualified to give you the truth about Nautilus. By the time I entered the 1970 Mr. America contest in Culver City, California, I had been training for more than 5 years with barbells and dumbbells, and I was superbly developed. I had never even heard of a Nautilus machine, but at 18 I placed third in the America and won several subdivision trophies, and I can truthfully say that I'd be as good as I am today if I had never touched a Nautilus machine. At the 1970 America, I met Arthur Jones and saw his strange-looking machines. I talked with him about training, and he made sense as far as basic training beliefs were concerned. I was more or less looking for a sponsor, and he needed a champion bodybuilder to endorse his equipment, so we struck an alliance. Before I won the America in 1971, I was still an amateur bodybuilder, and in those days amateur standards were very strict, so I couldn't actively endorse Nautilus equipment. However, Mr. Jones emphasized my use of his machines and the sensational progress I was making on them. Then after I won the Mr. America in 1971, I openly endorsed Nautilus equipment. When training for my Mr. America win, however, I had at my disposal only 4 machines, all crude prototypes. All the rest of my training was with free weights, and I was using what supposedly Nautilus principles, going to failure on every set, doing 1 or 2 sets per exercise, and performing a total of only 4 to 5 sets per muscle group. I would never have reached peak condition for the America training that way. However, so I usually did 3 or 4 or more additional sets of dips, squats, and other key movements. I knew instinctively that I needed more work than I was being given to do. So whenever Mr. Jones was looking the other way, I'd do more. Simply, I had to do so to achieve contest-winning muscle density and muscularity. Today, less than 5% of my training is done with Nautilus machines. The other 95% is with free weights and other types of machines. I do my leg extensions solely on a Nautilus machine, and I also like the leg curl and hip adductor machines. I dislike the leg press machine, however, because many people get headaches and lower back problems using it. I also feel that the machine builds up sides of the hips too much, making a bodybuilder look too wide there. For upper body training, I use just the double shoulder machine, and then only the lateral raise part of it. I use the rowing machine, but only as a rear delt movement, and I do some work on the multi-curl machine, and that's it. What I'm getting at here is that for a serious bodybuilder, Nautilus machines provide just another exercise to be used in conjunction with a wide variety of exercises on other equipment. And I have an additional problem. Because I can use the full weight stack up to 200 pounds of extra weight on every machine, Mr. Jones can gear the machines any way he wants to, but he has chosen to ignore powerful bodybuilders in favor of general public. Joe Average gets a morale boost if he can use 10 plates on a movement instead of only 1 or 2. For serious bodybuilders, however, the early machines with bigger cams were much better. The mechanical principles behind Nautilus machines are valid. They do provide continuous balance resistance, so you can do a lot of continuous tension movements on them, but there are numerous other resistance training machines that provide the same functions. The Triton machines, which have just come out, even offer resistance that is steadily reduced as the muscle fatigues. This is all done with hydraulics. The Triton is an excellent type of equipment to train on. Nautilus was the first on the scene and made big noise, but now other machines are coming on strong. There's also a lack of variety in the movements you can do on Nautilus equipment. This narrow scope severely limits a bodybuilder's ultimate development. The wider the variety of exercises you do over the years, the more complete your ultimate physical development. So bodybuilders who train mostly on Nautilus machines tend to look huge, but they lack the fine muscular detail associated with a true bodybuilder. There is, moreover, a balance factor inherent in using free weights, and that's missing in Nautilus machines. To do a squat with a barbell, you use your whole body, and that's very beneficial to any athlete. If you did a machine squat, however, you would not be using the other stabilizing muscles. Nautilus machines are also expensive. While you could set up a very good home gym with barbells and dumbbells for about $300, to do the same with Nautilus machines would set you back in the neighborhood of $30,000. I've tried for years to do upper pec work on a Nautilus double chest machine, but never could. I've done wrist curls on a multi-machine, but have never gotten the results in form development as when doing the same exercise with a 225-pound barbell. Nautilus machines are more adaptable for use by a person who just goes into the gym to tone up, or by athletes seeking additional power. Athletes, however, would gain more balance and functional power by combining Nautilus and free weight training. Nautilus machines are especially good for rehabilitating injuries, both those suffered in athletics and other mishaps. In the past, I've worked with Dr. Tom Pipes and Dr. James Keys in rehabilitating injuries with Nautilus equipment, and we achieved remarkable results. Perhaps a bodybuilder in the early stages of his training could benefit from training on Nautilus equipment, but he should also learn every possible barbell and dumbbell movement too. I don't believe he'll ever have good muscular detail or optimum mass if he trains exclusively on Nautilus equipment and with Nautilus training principles. Another problem with Nautilus equipment is that very tall and very short bodybuilders, particularly those below 5 foot 5 inches, have difficulty fitting in the machines. I could fit Lou Ferrigno into a machine a lot easier than I could Danny Padilla. For Danny, I need a wide variety of elevation pads. Mr. Jones builds his machines on a larger scale to accommodate football and basketball players, figuring that if a smaller person wants to use a machine, he or she will find a way. It's really hard for a woman to use a pullover machine, for example, because her shoulders are usually not broad enough to allow her to place her elbows on the movement pads in an optimum position. And the machines aren't as easily adjustable as you might think. Personally, I firmly dislike being restricted to a set grip width on many machines. On presses behind the neck with an Olympic bar, I can use a wide variety of grips. On a double shoulder machine, however, I can't. Nautilus seems to feel that this is not critical, but to a serious bodybuilder who wants to enter competition, it is. Arthur Jones is a brilliant inventor, and he could possibly develop a line of machines very suitable for bodybuilders. I am convinced, though, that he feels we comprise too small of a market. He's a dyed-in-the-wool bodybuilder himself, who has always wanted 20-inch arms. For most of his life, he's eaten, drunk, and slept bodybuilding, although he's never delved too deeply into what competitive bodybuilding preparation actually requires. Mr. Jones initially hit the bodybuilding market hard because he knew it better than any other. I don't think he ever intended to stay with bodybuilding, though. Without a doubt, Arthur Jones is a brilliant man, but I believe his greatest brilliance is in his promotional ability. He's an excellent self-educated engineer and mechanic, but his knowledge of competition training is confined to generalities. He seems to know very little about how a bodybuilder gets into contest shape. Since I moved to California about 3 years ago, I've picked up a myriad of pointers that help me more than anything he ever told me. Much of Mr. Jones's promotion of me, and probably of his equipment as well, has perhaps been exaggerated. The famous Colorado experiment is case in point. In the experiment using Nautilus machines exclusively, I gained 62 pounds of solid muscle mass in just 1 month, and the implication has been that Nautilus is so good that almost anybody would be able to do the same thing, although on a smaller scale. I definitely did gain that much muscle. It was scientifically verified. But at the beginning of the experiment, I was artificially very low in body weight and muscle mass. I hadn't been training. I'd been injured while working on an offshore oil rig and had almost died from an adverse reaction to a tetanus shot. Then I dieted on 800 calories per day for 2 months to reach rock bottom 168 pounds. On that diet, my body metabolized muscle tissue for energy. Then during the experiment, I trained like a madman, gorging myself on 12,000 to 13,000 calories per day. My artificially small muscles quickly regained mass, primarily due to muscle memory and the stimulus of hard training and plenty of good food. Actually, in that month, I never came close to contest condition, but I did gain 62 pounds of muscle. Mr. Jones could really promote that. In a new book on Nautilus bodybuilding, there are numerous photos of me. Take a good look at them. Sometime between the best one, a back double bicep shot, was taken when I was training primarily on free weights. It was taken by John Balick at the Louisiana Grand Prix show 2 years ago. I won that contest, but not because of Nautilus. Nonetheless, the implication is that the physique you see in the photo is 100% a result of Nautilus training. To become a champion, I don't think you can train solely on Nautilus principles. No one can develop great mass in detail on 3 or 4 total sets per body part. I use all the Weiders training principles, and I perform a total of 20 to 30 heavy sets per muscle group each workout. If you want to become a champion, it's the only way to go. I've taken a lot of flack, even in this magazine, from a couple of pro bodybuilders who claim to train with only 3 to 5 sets per muscle group, and who make a lot of money selling courses and books promoting such systems. Actually, these guys are hypocrites. I've trained with them, and we've consistently done 10 to 15 even more sets per body part. But if they admitted this, it would hurt their income from courses and books. As a result, they tell you to do one thing and then go ahead and do something entirely different to actually get into contest shape. They attack me for telling the truth, which is a travesty because they don't practice what they preach, and they rely on pseudoscientific mumbo-jumbo to come across as intellectuals of bodybuilding.